Well, uh, we did all see it coming. Let's not jump over here. All right. I'm still proud of my team. We still had a winning record. We still made the playoffs. That's something to be proud of. With the last 8, 9 years of complete failure and disgrace. This is a win. It's a win. It's a win-win situation. I feel like we won against an incredibly great team, but it still hurts. It still hurts because it's a game that, looking back, we could have won. We very much could have won that game if we just did a couple of things right. But we'll get into that later. Either way, let's get into these playoff games. First off, we're going to get on to the Chargers versus the Texans. A game that I believe should have happened between the Broncos and the Texans. If that was the case, best believe I would have been in Houston to watch that game. But we found ourselves watching this boring game. Justin Herbert, I don't really ever see the hype. Everyone has been praising this guy ever since he's got out of Oregon, and I just don't see it. I've never seen it. I never thought he was that good. Obviously, he was better than, quarterbacks at that particular time for the Chargers, like he was a better replacement for Phillip Rivers, you know what I mean? But he just doesn't perform well under pressure or in big games. Proven time and time again. He's lost so many games that he either let a trash team beat them or they just choke. Justin Herbert, 242, touchdown, 4 picks. Stroud, 282, a touchdown and a pick. J.K. Dobbins, only 26 yards, 50 total for the Chargers. 106 and a touchdown for Joe Mixon, and 168 total for the Texans. C.J. Stroud has 42 with a really clutch 27-yard run to get some points right before the first half. And Ladd McConkey went off 197 and a touchdown, 21 and basically 22 yards per reception there. 14 total targets, the only one that even got close to double-digit targets. Will Disley had 5 targets for 2 catches, only 16 yards. No receiver was really helping Justin Herbert. I will give him that. But, this just play calling for the offense, they went for it, I believe, like 2 times instead of getting field goals. And then the picks, just really bad picks by Justin Herbert. Stroud's lone pick was really bad. Trying to throw it away, he couldn't get it out of bounds and ended up throwing it into triple coverage with no receiver in sight for an easy pick. Derwin James was all over the field, collecting fumbles, interceptions. He was doing the most. Nico Collins, 122 and a touchdown on 8 targets. Xavier Hutchinson had 1 catch for 34 yards. And everyone else kind of had 1 or 2 catches here and there. But primarily it was Nico Collins doing most of the work. The defense for the Texans just kicked it on the second half and was very stingy, getting interceptions, causing 3-and-outs. And the Texans just ultimately, just capitalized and just kind of won the game. But either way, this was a pretty boring game, even though the score does say differently. This game was, looking to be very close, and then it just got out of hand immediately, It was a bad game, but it was also a good game, depending on how you look at it. But a big win, technically a comeback win in a way, but not really for the Texans. But I do believe if the Chargers played the Bills and we played the Texans, both of those games would have been a lot more entertaining. Probably different outcomes, at least for us. But Yeah, I don't know. I think the Bills would have stomped the Chargers as well, but I think we would have put up a better fight than the Chargers did against the Texans, who have like, you know, a very inconsistent team, and I feel like we could have done better than, you know, 12 points. But yeah, big win for the Texans going on to face the Chiefs in Kansas City. Hopefully they can pull off the upset, but it's not looking too good. And then later that night on Saturday, we had the Steelers going into Baltimore. Pretty much everyone expected this score outcome here. Russell Wilson didn't play terrible, but obviously didn't do enough to get his team the win. 270, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lamar Jackson had 175, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Najee Harris and the rest of the Steelers had only 29 total rushing yards, which is crazy to think about. Derrick Henry, Lamar, and the rest of the Ravens had basically 300 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty insane what they did. They just completely chewed up the clock, destroyed their run defense. George Pickens, 87 yards and a touchdown. I would say it didn't get enough targets this game. Najee Harris, when he's your second leading receiver, I mean, you definitely got to fill in that gap, with some other guys. Isaiah Likely had 53 yards, which was surprisingly the leading in yards for the Ravens. Mark Andrews had 27. They were really utilizing the tight ends and obviously the run. I mean, if you look at their, guys that they have, I mean, 1 catch, 2 catches, 1 catch. These are the receivers. So they were running the ball very effectively, but I don't see how their next couple of games do scare me. Because, Zay Flowers is still hurt, and if he's not going to be back by the time the Ravens play the Chiefs, then we're going to see the Chiefs in another Super Bowl, and that's something that nobody wants to see. So we need someone to take out the Chiefs, whether it be the Texans. I don't even care. I don't care who wins the Super Bowl. I just don't want the Chiefs to win it. You know what I mean? If they go, then they go, but I don't want them to win it. You know what I mean? So, hopefully the Texans can pull off the upset. If not, hopefully the Bills or the Ravens can, slay the dragon. But, they need Zay Flowers if they're going to make the Super Bowl. It's just a gimme. They have to have him back. And I don't know what his return time is at the moment. But, yeah. This was a dominant win for the Ravens. Pretty expected. That's what I'm saying. Like, I really wish that, the Steelers could have won a couple of more games. We could have won a couple more games, because then we could have played the Steelers or the Texans. And those are 2 games that we could have won to at least advance to the divisional round. But, we got to win more games. That's something that we got to do next year, obviously. Next we had a tough day on Sunday. First game of the day out of the 3. Broncos scored on their opening drive. A long 40-something, 50-yard-something bomb to Troy Franklin to get points on the board. And, we got the offense first, and, first offensive drive, boom, we go out and score. We go up 7. Bills, they come down, they get a field goal. Quarter kind of stalls a little bit, but we're up going into the second quarter, 7-3. End of the second quarter, we go down, and, right before half, we go down, get into field goal range, kick a field goal, and it hits the goalpost. So we could have went into the halftime, scored 10-0, basically reset the game heading into the second half. And I feel like that missed field goal was just kind of a momentum starter, because right after that, second half comes, Bills get the ball first, they go down, they score a touchdown. They go for 2 and they get it. And then, they get a field goal on their next drive after we punt to them. And then they go and score again. And then they kick another field goal. And then the game's just, it's over at that point. But just a lot of tough things that kept the Broncos from winning this game. I believe they had about 4 missed third down drops from all catchable type balls. They missed the field goal heading into the second half. And then the Bills, they score on a 4th and 1 on a miraculous play where the running back basically runs a giant wheel route across the entire field, catches it in the back of the end zone behind our safety, and give us 3 points, take 7 away from them. It's 24-10. It's a 2-score game. Changes momentum a little bit. Changes play calling. We don't drop those 4 third down drops, and we actually keep the chains moving. We, convert a 4th down instead of turning it over. Those plays stall drives or turn the ball over, and we get a fake punt, and then we end up not even getting a 1st down, and then we have to actually punt the next time. All these things, that can get us points, and the offense just didn't come in clutch. They didn't come in clutch today, or that day. So we could have gotten, who knows, take their 4th down play away, give us a field goal. Like I said, it's a 14-point game at that point. Change those 3rd down drops, get us in the field goal range, or, go down to score a touchdown. The game is so different, if we get a couple of those plays turned. But it is what it is. You play a great team like that in their home stadium, you're going to get calls not going your way, but it is what it is. Just go on to the next season. But either way, really proud of the Broncos on how they performed this year. And looking forward to, seeing the future, especially when we get some free agent money. Hopefully we cause some attraction, to have some free agents come join us, but we'll see. Either way, let's take a look at the stats. We have Bo Nix, 144, the lone touchdown, no picks. Josh Allen, 272, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Bo Nix had 43 rushing yards, which is our leading rusher. This is a problem for the Broncos, man. We don't have a dedicated running back. We have Javonte Williams, Tyler Beatty, Jaleel McLaughlin, Blake Watson. All of these guys are second string or third string running backs. We don't have a running back 1. We have running back 1 in certain formations. We don't have a dedicated running back 1. And that's a problem, When you have all of these backup caliber type running backs, sure, it's cool to have, to an extent. You have 4 backup running backs, but you don't have a starter. You know what I mean? So, 79 total yards, but if you take away Bo Nix, we only had 36 total yards for the running backs. So, that's a problem. The Bills, on the other hand, this is what a dedicated number 1 running back looks like. You get 23 carries, 120 yards, 5.5 a carry, and a touchdown. So, James Cook alone had more rushing attempts than the entire Broncos running back room. So, that should say something. Josh Allen also didn't help that situation by getting 46, but at the same time, Ty Johnson also had 44. Their backup running back had more than our, all of our backup running backs combined, so that's something that should not be a thing. So that's something that we need to definitely hit hard in free agency. We haven't hit running back hard, I don't think, since the Melvin Gordon trade or signing in free agency, but, even then, he wasn't that good. So, we got to go hit running back hard. And we need to get a dedicated running back in Denver because we don't have a run game. And, teams expect that, and they know that. Receiving, we had Cortland Sutton 75 yards, and Troy Franklin had that 43-yard touchdown. And then he had a 12-yard catch after that. And that's pretty much our receiving core. Javonte Williams only had 14 yards. Marvin Mims had a little screen pass that took it 15, and then he lost yards on his next catch. The tight end, we had 2 catches from our tight ends. No, like the fact that 2 receivers caught a ball is insane. Like we just did not play good. Everyone was dropping the ball. Curtis Samuel, 68 yards and a touchdown. Oh, by the way, we only had 159 total receiving yards. Curtis Samuel had 68, Khalil Shakir had 61, Dalton Kincaid 47, Dawson Knox 38. Ty Johnson also had 26 more yards. Murray Cooper only had 8 yards. Matt Collins had a lone catch for 19 yards that he swore won the game. But yeah, this was just a bad performance by us, and I'm not even really fully crediting the Bills just because of how horrible we played, But either way, they're going on to face the Ravens, so we will see that amazing game pretty soon. Next, we're going to go on to the Packers going into Philadelphia. This game I'm not really going to touch too much on because of, the score doesn't show it, but this was a blowout. Jordan Love played absolutely horrible. 212, no touchdowns, 3 picks. Jalen Hurts, only 13 completions, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Josh Jacobs, 81 and a touchdown. Pretty much the only effective person on this team for Sunday. Saquon had 25, 119. No rushing touchdowns for the Eagles. The Packers just straight up decimated by injuries this game. They had their 4, 5, and 6 receivers basically playing the rest of the game. So they had a bunch of backups, and pretty much no one was able to help out, just because of the injuries that the Packers did have. But Eagles took full advantage of that, completely destroyed them. Devontae Smith only had 55 yards. Dallas Goedert only had 47. Had 47 and a touchdown. A.J. Brown only had 10 yards on 3 targets, 1 catch. So this wasn't a very entertaining game. This was just the Eagles' defense completely destroying the Packers' offense, and Saquon just bleeding that clock. So big win for the Eagles. They're going to go on to face, I believe, the Rams. I think the Rams will go to Philadelphia. I'm not sure who's going to have to travel. I believe it's the Rams going into Philly, so we'll see. That's going to be a pretty decent game, I feel like. Next, we had the Commanders going into Tampa Bay for a pretty close, entertaining game. Jane Daniels played pretty good, 268, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Baker Mayfield also played pretty decent, 185, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The run game for the Commanders was not it, only 82 total yards. Bucky Irving had 77. Rashad White only had 1 carry for a yard. Denami Brown, 89 and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin had 89 and a touchdown as well. Mike Evans had 92 and a touchdown. Jalen McMillan had 41. And that was pretty much it. A lot of the offense was, pretty bleak this game. It was a very defensive game. When the offense could score, it was just like barely. But yeah, this game came down to a last-second field goal. Jane Daniels was able to get the Commanders' offense right into field goal range at the end. And, this was a tough game. It went up, and just ended in regulation. So, this game could have potentially went to overtime, with the missed field goal. I personally didn't know if it was going to be a missed field goal. Obviously, it's a backup kicker for the Commanders, but yeah, I feel like neither of these two teams are that strong in the playoffs. The records say otherwise, but I don't think they were too strong of a playoff team. So I feel like whoever was going to win this game, they're going to lose to, the Lions. So both teams were going to end up losing, so we'll see how that goes. Next, we had a Monday night game, the Vikings going into LA. I thought this game was going to be a little bit more entertaining. I thought the Vikings were actually going to win this game. This game got moved to Arizona instead of it being in LA just due to the fires that are happening over there right now. But the Vikings just didn't show up. Sam Darnold, 245, touchdown and a pick. Matthew Stafford, 209, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Aaron Jones and the rest of the Vikings only had 106 rushing yards. Kyron Williams and the rest of the Rams only had 90 rushing yards. T.J. Hawkinson had 64 and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson had 58. Jordan Addison and Jalen Naylor only had 62 total yards combined. Tyler Higbee had 58, Puka had 44, and Cooper Kupp only had one catch for 29 yards on one target. This was a very defensive game for the Rams. Absolutely destroyed Sam Darnold in that offensive line. They were sending safety blitzes, corner blitzes, and they were just completely annihilating Sam Darnold. As you can see here, he got sacked 9 times. Probably up there for a record almost for a playoff game, but he was just getting destroyed. I blame his offensive line. Some of his sacks were his fault for not reading the blitz correctly. So I say at least half of those are the offensive line fault. But, 9 sacks is insane. But this was a blowout start to finish. The Vikings just couldn't really get going. But the Vikings at one point actually looked like they had gotten a fumble recovery and then returned it for a touchdown on a strip sack. But then it was looked at that it was incomplete, so that would have changed a lot for that game. But either way, this was a blowout, so we will see how the Rams do against the Eagles. Next, we have the divisional round. We have the Texans going into Kansas City to play the Chiefs at 3:30. Fortunately, I do have to pick the Chiefs here. I don't see the Texans beating the Chiefs at all. Maybe if they had Tank Dell, who knows, but man, I really hope the Texans can pull off this upset in Kansas City, but I just don't see it happening. I just feel like the Chiefs are going to put up an easy 35 or something, but hopefully I'm wrong. The Texans, they just are almost our last hope, so I'm pretty much, everyone has to be a Texans fan for this game, but I just don't see it, unfortunately. Next, we have the Commanders going into Detroit. I have the Lions, man. I feel like they're gonna come out, with a sense of motivation. They're so close, to making the Super Bowl, and I feel like you just have to use that motivation. Plus, you're at home. You have to win this game. Commanders do have a chance. If the Jared Goff doesn't play great, the Commanders will win this game. That's just a fact. If Jared Goff plays bad, the Commanders will destroy the Lions. But we'll see how all that goes there. For Sunday, we only have 2 more games. Obviously that one was the Saturday night game. The Rams are going into Philadelphia at 2 o'clock on Sunday. I don't know why these are so early. Like, make these later, you know what I mean? Like, why is it not Sunday night? That's so stupid. But for the divisional round, we do have the Rams going to Philadelphia at 2 o'clock for whatever reason. I do have the Eagles winning this game. I just am so, confused why they're so early of games. But I do have the Eagles winning this game. I don't see how they lose unless, the Lions. If the Rams just, for whatever reason, are just clicking on offense and put up an easy 40, then they're going to beat the Eagles. But if that's not the case, the Eagles are going to win this game every time. And the game of the year that people are calling, the Ravens going into Buffalo. This is going to be a close game, man. I feel like the Ravens should win this game, but something is telling me that the Bills are going to win the game. But I don't personally want the Bills to win. I would rather see the Ravens win. Even though the Bills have not won a Super Bowl, the dream scenario obviously is wanting the Bills and the Ravens to face in the AFC Championship, not in the divisional round. You know what I mean? But I don't know who to pick here, man, because this is such a toss-up. If one team slightly plays bad, the other team is going to blow them out. And both these teams can be inconsistent when playing in big games like this. I feel that the Ravens will upset the Bills at home. So I'm going with the Ravens. We'll see how that goes for Sunday at 5:30. But I got the Ravens there. Would not be surprised if the Bills blow out the Ravens though. that's pretty much it for this week. Obviously, a lot less games to go over, but just want to throw out a little update there. I'm not really sure what these next couple of videos are going to be looking like. Just with my new job starting, I will be working a majority of the time, and I'm not going to be able to have access to my laptop. So we may see a podcast type style for these next couple of videos for the season. You know, we only have the divisional game, and then AFC Championship prediction, the AFC Championship review and Super Bowl prediction, and then the Super Bowl review. So we only have about 3 videos left, but just so y'all are, not caught off guard, I believe the next 3 potentially might be podcast style, so it might just be recorded on my phone, and no cut comm. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, I'm still trying to figure everything out, but the videos are still going to be coming out. That's not going to be stopping. So either way, hopefully everyone's team wins in the playoffs, unless you're a Chiefs fan. So I will see y'all in my next video. I will try to at least have it up standard time like I usually will. But yeah, big games this weekend. Please, Texans, please. The country is in your hands.